And we expect to see both Devontae Green and Zach McRoberts off the bench tonight for the Hoosiers, which will make them a much deeper squad. Duke 6-3 all time against Indiana, and we are underway here in Durham. Outstanding officiating crew tonight of Mike Eads, Roger Ayers, and Ron Gruber. And a great matchup with Barrett and Langford on each other early. Double team on Williamson, doesn't matter.
The first play that Duke goes to is to back screen Zion Williamson into the low post and go right at him. He was being guarded by Justin Smith, and right now they are having a hard time getting the ball over the center court line.
And a turnover as Bolden saves it. It's eventually tied up, and the arrow will keep it with the Hoosiers.
Duke immediately puts on a little 1-2-2 3/4 court pressure. That really slowed the advance of Indiana. But Duke is going to look to go to Zion Williamson and immediately back screened him into the low post.
All right, Jason, what we got is a 2-2 tie in the first minute here at Cameron. After that reverse layup by Romeo Langford, Zion Williamson with the first bucket of the game for Duke. And a great atmosphere as always here at Cameron. The Blue Devils and the Hoosiers both 5-1 on the season. Of course, Duke's loss out in Maui against Gonzaga. Indiana's only loss was a 1-point defeat at Arkansas. Williamson on the follow.
That ball was below the rim when it was corralled by Duke, and if Zion Williamson is going to get things that easy, it is going to be a long night for Indiana.
Nice cut, and reaching in though is Reddish to knock it away, and Duke with numbers at the other end. Reddish wide open for three. We're off and running here. More basketball from Jason Benetti's game. Jason, take it away. 7-2 Duke in the early going. Another ball knocked away. Trey Jones has it, and he is tripped.
Well, Juwan Morgan with the trip, that basically saved another bucket. And Duke is getting out in transition because their pressure is really getting to Indiana. The Hoosiers haven't been able to get the ball across half court cleanly. They have not gotten into anything they can run. They're basically having to make individual breakdown plays right now in the game because of Duke's pressure.
This is the 5th time the Hoosiers and the Blue Devils have met in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Duke has won each of the previous 4. It'll be R.J. Barrett to inbound it for the Blue Devils right in front of the Indiana bench.
R.J. Barrett being guarded by Romeo Langford. What a great matchup with outstanding freshman.
Wow, and what a job by Langford defensively. But the ball comes loose again, and this time it's Trey Jones who lays it in.
In a game like this, Dan, just making a play is not enough. You've got to make the play after the play. A great block by Romeo Langford, but Indiana wasn't able to corral the basketball, and they wound up giving up an easy one as a result. If they break that initial pressure and try to score, they can get the matchup they want.
Williamson, nobody getting in front of him, and he's got his second dunk of the night.
Not getting in front of Zion Williamson when he goes to the basket is a great decision on one's individual health.
It shows that one possesses a high IQ is what you're saying.
That is a high basketball IQ.
Still waiting for the first charge to be taken on him this season. We may be waiting a while. Reddish with a runner, not there. And out of bounds to the Hoosiers.
One of Indiana's goals defensively is to keep Duke out of the lane and out of transition. On this last play with body control and change of direction in transition from Zion Williamson. Boy, the over-the-rim cam is going to get a lot of use when Zion Williamson's in the game. Another turnover for Indiana.
Already their 3rd.
You come on the road in a game like this and getting through the first 4 minutes and getting to the first timeout and still being in the game is a big issue.
Reddish misses the 3, and back comes Juwan Morgan, having an outstanding season, coming off a 31-point effort against UC Davis. Muscles it up, blocked from behind by Williamson.
Juwan Morgan averages 9 rebounds a game. over 3 of those are offensive rebounds. Grabs the offensive board, and Zion Williamson comes from almost out of nowhere. The lefty blocking that with the left hand out of bounds.
And now another steal, this time by Javin DeLaurier. And Reddish will wait for reinforcements. DeLaurier in off the bench for Bolden.
Nice job by Al Durham to stop Cam Reddish getting to the rim.
Reddish wide open from the wing. And now 1 for 3 from beyond the arc.
One of the few times that Indiana hasn't had to take the ball out of the net to get it down court.
Langford, he is an outstanding driver, and he follows up his own miss to bring the Hoosiers within 5.
And a quick second jump.
Barrett fouled by Morgan, and that'll be number 2 on Indiana's best player, Juwan Morgan.
Morgan went up with his hand straight in the air, but his body went into R.J. Barrett. It is a really difficult play to make, but the referee felt that he was going into Barrett rather than going straight up.
And needless to say, Jay, that is an enormous loss for the Hoosiers here in this game.
Yeah, and you wonder how long that Archie Miller is going to keep Juwan Morgan on the bench. You don't want to keep him out the entire first half, but you have to take him out for a little while. You can't have the third foul picked up quickly in an up-and-down game.
So Morgan out. Deron Davis is in for Indiana. Jack White comes off the bench for Duke as Barrett makes 1 of 2.
And Deron Davis makes Indiana a different team. Now you're going to have a big guy in the middle. Is it going to be harder to drive?
Wow. That was an attempted dunk by Justin Smith. He actually lost it on the way up, but still banked it in.
Well, another really good offensive rebounder that's an outstanding athlete. Justin Smith has got the hard task of having to guard Zion Williamson both out on the perimeter and when he goes down in the post.
You know, it felt like Indiana, if this were a boxing match, like they were taking a lot of blows in the early going. You look up at the scoreboard, they got it back within 4. That would have made it 1 had that shot gone down.
No, they are hanging in there.
And all of a sudden it's 7 after White buries a 3. Welcome to Cameron Indoor Stadium. For those of you just joining us now, Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Allison Williams, and Duke leading Indiana 15-8 in the early going as Romeo Langford misses the 3. Big early story here. Juwan Morgan for the Hoosiers has 2 fouls already in this game. And if you weren't with us for the first, say, 4.5 minutes of this game, we've already seen Zion Williamson doing some Zion kinds of things.
Well, Zion Williamson has been spectacular. Duke has been quicker to the ball. They've done a great job of putting pressure both in the backcourt and the front court on Indiana and taking Indiana out of its offense and making the Hoosiers make individual plays. They've made quite a few, but Duke has also gotten out in transition, which was a real point of emphasis for Archie Miller and his staff. They wanted to keep Duke out of transition, and they wanted to rebound.
Welcome to the ACC Big Ten Challenge presented by Continental. ACC in the Big Ten, as we remind you, this is also a sonic blockbuster here at Cameron Indoor Stadium, and how could it not be with Indiana and Duke and the storied histories of these 2 iconic programs? It is still 2-2 in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Louisville and Michigan State are still going in overtime as we are just getting underway here in Durham in one of the late games of the evening. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, the Crow's Nest, high above our perch, high above Coach K Court here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. And the Blue Devils playing for the first time since they lost to the Zags out in Maui. And sometimes you come back from Maui, it takes you a couple of days to kind of get going again. They look like they're going right now.
They are going. Duke had a great practice, I thought, yesterday. Very spirited, and it's something that they've talked about. They want to do a better job talking, communicating, better job rebounding, and they certainly want to do a better job defensively and finishing plays. And early on, the first 5 minutes of this game against Indiana, I think they've accomplished that task. Now, can they do it for 40 minutes? That's the question.
How about what you've seen from Zion Williamson so far?
Zion Williamson has been fantastic. You know, he is such an explosive athlete. There's the back screen into the low post, and he's going one-on-one in the post against Justin Smith. Juwan Morgan comes over, but still Zion Williamson able to get it up off the backboard. Ball is loose. Williamson able to get the second shot in. Then in transition is where he is especially devastating. And talk about a guy that plays above the rim. He plays above guys that play above the rim.
Let's go down to the corner of the court opposite us. Here's Allison Williams.
Well, Dan, the crazy is already in full effect, and they are part of what makes Duke so difficult to beat here in Cameron Indoor, where they have won an NCAA best 141 consecutive non-conference games. So Archie Miller talked to his team about playing here. He told them, remember, you're playing the team, not the stadium, but you have to stay true to yourself throughout this game. And you can't get sped up by the energy of this place, because that will play into the fire. We've seen that happen a few times already, guys. It is not easy to win here. It hasn't happened by a non-ACC team since February of 2000.
Bootsy, Thornton, and St. John's, the last team to do it.
I think Bootsy had 41 in that one, didn't he?
We are ready now for the resumption of our Sonic Blockbuster here to Cameron. Bootsy had 41, and R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson weren't born at the time of that game. And here they are as two of the best known and most talented college basketball players in the land right now.
R.J. Barrett on that left-handed drive, and he is a lefty, tried to drop that off to Javin Delorier. And in the very last play of the game in Maui against Gonzaga, he had an opportunity to drop it to Delorier, didn't do it, tried to take it himself, and it wasn't a bad play, but it might have been a better play to drop it off. And boy, he took it was amazing how much criticism for a guy who's averaging over 20 points per game. He's had 5 20-point games. He's been outstanding this season. He took a lot of heat for not finishing that last play. It's just a different world these guys are in now.
Deron Davis with a nice spinning layup for Indiana. Had a ruptured Achilles tendon last year in his right leg, working his way back into game shape from that, and dealing with some tenderness in his left Achilles right now. So he is limited as we get a foul going against the Hoosiers, and it'll be on Davis.
Well, Deron Davis did a nice job in the low post. He was pushed off the low block, and usually he wants to get a foot, at least 1 foot in the paint, and try to bury you in there. But he was outside the paint. A good job defensively to push him out of there, and still made a really good move.
Boy, again, such a loss for the Hoosiers to be without Joanna Morgan already. 2 fouls inside of the first 5 minutes of the game.
I don't think that Archie Miller, absent something happening with Indiana able to keep it to a 1 or 2 possession game the entire first half without Morgan, I don't think he can keep him out the entire first half. Yeah. I mean, when you do that, you're the coach that's playing the best defense on your best player. You have to do it by feel. Obviously, it's a difficult decision to make, but I don't think you can keep a guy out 16 whole minutes of a half.
Boy, Justin Smith playing very aggressively in the early going. Indiana getting on the offensive glass, but they can't convert.
Barrett with a rip and go. Any one of 4 guys, when not the 4 now, but Jones, Barrett, Reddish, they can rip and go and take it the other way.
Trey Jones, how good has this guy been? And under-publicized to a certain extent because of all the hype around the other freshmen, but he made the all-tournament team out in Maui, and deservingly so.
Yeah, his last 3 games, he's averaging over 13 points a game and shooting close to 60% from the field, and his decision-making is just so good. Very few turnovers, 17 points against Gonzaga. He was terrific.
Again, Indiana can't finish around the rim despite a couple of opportunities, and back come the Blue Devils.
Indiana's tipping the ball around. They need to grab it.
And Duke's making threes.
Well, they're making threes in transition where they're difficult to match up with. "12-point lead, Blue Devils." We're back in a moment. A Sonic Blockbuster between the Hoosiers and the Blue Devils, who have combined for 10 national championships and 24 Final Fours. Archie Miller in his second year as head coach of the Hoosiers after a nice 6-year run at Dayton. 4 trips to the tournament, an Elite 8, a Sweet 16. The Hall of Famer Mike Krzyzewski, 5 national championships and a dozen Final Fours. Well, the pressure in the backcourt by Trey Jones is really affecting Indiana. Devontae Green just come into the game. Green misses the 3. Evan Fitzner, the grad transfer from St. Mary's, with an offensive rebound, but again, Indiana, despite multiple opportunities, can't cash in. Well, Duke right now in 7 minutes has 22 points, not a single turnover in this game. They've been very, very efficient at both ends of the floor, and it's really all started with their defense. They've pushed Indiana further out on the floor, and because Indiana's further out on the floor, their passes are longer, their drives are longer. and the Hoosiers are out of sync when they get into half-court situations. And it's not, with a couple exceptions, it's not a breakdown offensive team. You know, they have to be able to run their stuff, and right now Duke's taking them out of their stuff.
And Jay, that's the second foul on Deron Davis. So Morgan's got 2, Davis has 2, and now Smith will come back in along with Fitzner in the front court for Indiana, which suddenly is pretty thin in the front court, depending on how Archie Miller plays it, as Jay said, because of the foul trouble early.
Well, and Fitzner, the grad transfer from St. Mary's, can really shoot the ball. At 16 points against Marquette, he's got deep range and a great feel for the game, so he can help spread Duke out a little bit.
Indiana glad to have both Zach McRoberts and Devontae Green back, each of them missing the last 4 games with injuries. Yet another turnover, the 5th committed by Indiana. Williamson drops it off behind his head for Reddish. Justin Smith got a piece of that shot, and it belongs to the Hoosiers. Justin Smith has come to play here tonight.
Well, he is a really good player and a very talented player that's really coming on. Just a sophomore from Buffalo Grove, Illinois. But right now, Dan, when Indiana is making a move in its offense, they run some dribble handoff stuff, dribble weave stuff. Right now, Duke's not letting them have the handoffs and weaves. And it has really put them in a bad spot. Like, they couldn't make the last handoff, tried to get it to Fitzner, wind up turning it over. All of a sudden, they're scrambling back in transition. It's been a game of scrambling thus far for Indiana.
Jordan Goldwire giving Trey Jones a bit of a breather at the point, commits the foul for Duke. Indiana's had 5 offensive rebounds in this game, but only 2 second chance points. They've only converted on 1 of their 5 offensive rebounds, and they're just 5 of 16, 31% overall from the floor.
Well, to Allison Williams' point, they've been sped up. And everything is under duress. They're having to make these individual plays. And here's a guy that can make one, and that's Romeo Langford. Boy, how good has Jack White been this early season?
Rebounding, making threes, playing defense, and playing about 25, 26 minutes a game off the bench. Open again, but not this time from the corner.
Jack White makes inspiring hustle plays for his team.
Carry is the call on Devontae Green.
Well, yet another turnover for Indiana. Archie Miller right now searching for answers because his team is coughing the ball up at an alarming rate due to the pressure that Duke's putting on basically all over the floor.
And we talked to Archie Miller at shoot-around earlier today. Remember, Archie played at NC State, so he's got a lot of experience playing against Duke and playing here at Cameron. And we asked him, do you say anything to your kids about playing in this environment? He goes, yeah, the environment is one thing, but it's because they're really good. That's what makes it so tough to play here. And he played against the Boozer, Battier, Williams, Dunleavy teams. So he focused more with his team on the players they're playing against rather than the building in which they're playing.
Yeah, and Archie believes that, and he is selling is the wrong word, but he's trying to get across to his team that it's the team you play, not the building. You are not playing the building. You are not playing the crowd. You are playing your opponent. And they've played tough opponents before. They played Duke last year at Assembly Hall, and they played them really tough, and the game came down the last couple of minutes. They're down 12, but Indiana has basically done nothing right from the Hoosiers' perspective. Now, Duke has forced them into the turnovers from the Duke perspective. They've been forced into that, but it's just a few plays, few stops, few scores, and Indiana can get right back in this, even though it's been a difficult beginning.
22-10 Duke with 11:38 to go in the first half. Great college basketball action all week long after the ACC Big Ten Challenge. How about a doubleheader Saturday here on ESPN? Purdue and Michigan, conference play in the Big Ten again this early this year. They'll kick off Big Ten play against one another at the Chrysler Center at 3:30 Eastern Time, and then coming up right after that, number 2 Kansas will host Stanford at Allen Fieldhouse. Both games also on the ESPN app. I'll be in Ann Arbor, and you'll be in Lawrence.
I'll tell you, I think that Michigan may very well be the best team in the Big Ten. Not just right now, but they're legit. And it's not just that they can score, because John Beilein's teams can always score efficiently. Charles Matthews, terrific. Xavier Simpson's really improved. He may not be a great free throw shooter, but he's a terrific point guard. They defend like very few Michigan teams that I've seen in the past 7-8 years. They're better defensively than they are offensively, and I think that's saying something about them.
Through 6 games, they have held opponents to an average of 48 points per game. Think about that.
Including Villanova, the defending national champ, who just beat Florida State. I mean, it is, they are legit on the defensive end.
Big week for the Wolverines. They host North Carolina tomorrow night in another ACC Big Ten Challenge game. Barrett back in, and Jones as well for Duke. Williamson just bowling his way on the baseline, but Smith did everything he could to stay with him and comes down with a rebound.
And he forced him right. That's an offensive foul.
Yes, it is.
Trey Jones was just waiting there for Justin Smith. But Smith did a very nice job of forcing Zion Williamson to his right. Williamson can go right, and that was not a hard call. It was a hard take by Trey Jones, but it was not a hard call.
Jones was looking to get some instruction from Mike Krzyzewski, who was facing towards the bench, talking to some of the players on the bench at the time, as Jones was dribbling the ball up the court. Jay Barrett guarded by Al Durham. Now Marquise Bolden had maybe the best game of his Duke career against Auburn out in Maui. And Trey Jones just so solid, so steady, and better than those words, really. He's playing terrific basketball.
You know, Indiana plays a pack line defense, and they are really packing it in on Duke, trying to make Duke prove it over the top. But still, with moving the ball a little bit, Duke's able to get the ball into a gap and get all the way to the rim.
Durham the miss, and there finally is a follow that will go as Fitzner, the grad transfer out of San Diego, played at St. Mary's. He knocks it down. Barrett too strong off the glass at the other end.
Well, with this lineup in the game, Duke wasn't able to get the same kind of pressure in the half court that it had put on Indiana earlier in the game. Now Indiana's able to run its stuff. See how they're easily making their handoffs. They've got 2-3 feet of space, and they're running everything around the three-point line. So they still turned over. Fitzner was wide open, and Justin Smith just missed him.
Now Reddish and Delorier return for Duke, and Rob Finney, the starting point guard, the freshman from Lafayette, Indiana, back into the game for Indiana. Romeo Langford back in as well.
And here comes Juwan Morgan back in the game with 10 minutes and 4 seconds to go, and Indiana down 12. You know, Archie Miller just can't wait the whole half. He's got to have his best player on the floor.
Now let's see if Duke goes right at him. Morgan switched on to Delorier, said to Fitzner, "You get Williamson." Didn't really get him, though.
Boy, just an easy play. Everybody raised up. Zion Williamson goes out to set a ball screen and just slips to the rim. I'm surprised he didn't try to tear that rim down. Usually he does. That was awfully easy for Duke.
Tennessee with a crossover, kicks it to Durham, and the lefty puts it up with his right hand, misses it, but a foul after the shot committed by the Blue Devils.
Take a look at Zion Williamson here. He's going to come set this screen and immediately slip to the bucket. And there's nobody there to help because up at the top, you had Juwan Morgan, who was guarding Javin Delorier. Even if he was down in help side position, it would have been too big of a risk to try to take that on.
R.J. Barrett with a rejection.
Now, normally Morgan would have gone all the way to the rim. I think he was worried about picking up a charge. So he stopped short and gave Barrett a chance to make that terrific block.
Fitzner, known as a shooter, puts it on the deck and draws a foul on the drive.
He must have had his heels on the line. I think he was there, but my guess is that his heels were on the line.
Yeah, that's the signal. Ron Groover kind of pointed down at the court, and that's generally what they're saying, what they mean when they point down there, that his feet were within the restricted area.
Yeah, it wasn't even his heels. It was both of his feet.
Two shots coming for Fitzner, the first free throws of the night for Indiana.
And Fitzner can really shoot the ball. He's got deep range. He's got a great understanding of how to play. The issue with him in this game is, can he guard for a couple of dribbles out on the perimeter, or will Duke try to take him off the bounce?
Smith in and Fitzner out right now for the Hoosiers. For freshman and Javin Delorier, the lineup right now for the Blue Devils.
Double stack low.
Spinning is Reddish, has it knocked away. Al Durham comes up with it. Numbers for Indiana, and they turn it over.
Well, you cannot throw the ball backwards. Just take it all the way to the rim. Indiana had an advantage situation. They had only one defender back. A beautiful block by Romeo Langford. And Al Durham's got to take that all the way to the rim. Dropping that off backwards is not the play.
Williamson and a foul. You could see Finney stepped in there and then kind of got out of the way as Williamson elevated towards the rim.
Probably saw his life flash before his eyes.
Duke is only 1 for 6 from the free throw line so far. Williamson is off to a terrific start, has 8 points, has a block, couple of dunks in this game.
Aside from youth, the only issue that I see with Duke long term is this is not a great shooting team. They can make shots, and they certainly have made shots in a number of games that they've played, but it's not every game. And if they are making shots, they are not going to be beaten. Yeah. If they don't, then it brings a number of teams into play that can beat them.
And you wonder how many teams will try to zone them this year. Indiana, Archie Miller's not a zone guy, rare if ever when he plays that kind of defense. But you wonder over the course of the season, Syracuse obviously will, but if other teams are going to try to zone them to see if, to make them prove they can make shots.
They absolutely will do that. But Archie Miller's pack line defense serves basically as a zone because there's so much help side defense.
What a scoop by Langford.
Well, he can really get to the rim, can he? And creatively finishes right underneath the arm of the defender.
Now we'd like to welcome those of you who watch Louisville defeat Michigan State in overtime. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Allison Williams here at Cameron. And Duke with a 29-15 lead on Indiana. Foul trouble for the Hoosiers. Juwan Morgan and Deron Davis, 2 big guys each with 2 fouls already, although Morgan's come back into the game after missing several minutes. And the dominant player for Duke in the early going probably has been Zion Williamson, although Trey Jones has played very well. He's got 6 points and 4 assists.
Yeah, Duke came into this game, Dan, with a few goals or keys to the game. They needed to rebound on both ends. They wanted 3 guys on the offensive glass, 5 guys on the defensive glass. They really wanted to get out and pressure and move Indiana further out on the court. They've done that. And they wanted to communicate and talk better on defense. And for the most part, they've done that. And Indiana's turned the ball over. They're in foul trouble. It has been a very difficult first 12 minutes of this first half for the Hoosiers. Yet they are only down 13. It actually could be worse.
9 turnovers committed by the Hoosiers, just 1 by the Blue Devils.
Indiana turns it over 15 times a game. It's not like they're immune to turnovers, but you can't have them on the road in this environment.
Williamson, and we've got a moving screen called on Javin DeLaurier. His second foul. That'll take us to the under 8 timeout, but we're going to keep it right here with 7:44 to go in the first half of this ACC Big Ten Challenge game between Duke and Indiana. 2 programs with such great histories, each with 5 national championships. Duke leading the all-time series 6-3, up 4-0 in the challenge. In Indiana, as Jay said, with the missed follows and the turnovers, it actually could be worse right now. Not that Archie Miller's feeling good about things, but he's got to feel like they're still in the ballgame.
They are still in the game. I mean, a couple of stops, couple scores. They are right back in this and feeling better about themselves. They've weathered the initial push that Duke had, because this building was in a frenzy the first 4 minutes of the game, and they were knocking Indiana back on just about every play. And the Hoosiers offense was really starting 5 feet further out than it is now. So if Juwan Morgan can get through this half without picking up another foul, and they can put a dent into this lead and start punching back. Right now they've been taking punches. They need to start punching back. If they can do that, Indiana's going to be in good shape.
And on the defensive end, they got to find somebody who can try to contain Zion Williamson.
That's a really difficult task. Justin Smith has done about as good a job as you can do, but the problem is they've given Zion Williamson some things in transition. First play of the game, a play they call release. They backpick Zion Williamson into the low post. Even with a double team coming over late, he's able to score. Loose ball, Indiana doesn't grab it, and Zion Williamson turns it into 2, and then a little ball screen on the side and slip to the basket. Everybody lifted up, no weak side help, and Zion Williamson already with over 7.5 minutes in this first half has 9 points and 2 rebounds, 4 of 6 from the field. He is a phenomenon and such a difficult matchup. You put a bigger guy on him, he takes him outside. You put a little guy on him, he can go down into the post and overpower him. He's just got a very unique skill set.
Leads the ACC, and granted it's very early, but 6 games into the season, leads the ACC in field goal percentage and blocks, second in rebounding, third in scoring. Pretty impressive stuff on a variety of fronts.
Yeah, for a young man to be second on his team in scoring, averaging 21 points a game, that is so impressive. And his league-leading field goal percentage is actually down from where it was a week ago.
Yeah, he actually in Maui shot less than 50% in the 3 games. Came into Maui shooting better than 80% from the field, as another turnover is committed, this time by Justin Smith. 10th committed by Indiana. More on the Hoosiers. Here's Allison.
Well, Dan, they've got to be stronger with the ball and stop committing those turnovers. Archie Miller talking to his team about that during the last timeout, but also really getting on them about the 50-50 balls and going after everyone, boxing out and rebounding. He said you have to make contact on every single shot. You have to start getting those second chance points.
All right, Allison, thank you. R.J. Barrett with a floater. He's got 7, and the lead grows to 15.
A very controlled drive into the lane, little left-handed push shot there by R.J. Barrett. Allison Williams is exactly right when she was talking about Archie Miller. I mean, so much of this comes down to just grabbing the ball. And even on the last play when Justin Smith drove the baseline, Jack White comes over and he just coughs the ball up. I mean, Jack White came over, cut the baseline out. He didn't pull a weapon on him. And you got to be stronger.
Williamson almost came down with that offensive rebound between a couple of Hoosiers, but back comes Langford. The top 5 recruit coming into this year. Give him an assist on the 3 by Fitzner, the grad transfer from St. Mary's, and that's what he does. He's a big who is a 41% three-point shooter in his collegiate career.
He's made over 123s at St. Mary's. That's a place that really values the 3.
White with an offensive rebound. How many times have we seen that already this season?
Well, Fitzner was trying to block out Marquise Bolden and doing a pretty good. He kept Bolden from getting it, but that allowed Jack White to just shoot by and take it himself. And Jack White gets Duke extra possessions, and that's what I would call an inspiring hustle play.
That's a pretty inspiring play right there if you're a Duke fan. Williamson with his 3rd dunk of the game already.
That's an inspiring, explosive play that not everybody can make.
And back to a 14-point lead for the Blue Devils.
Well, right now, I mean, it is a ton of second chance opportunities, extra possessions, and extra possessions by turnovers. I mean, Indiana has to feel like, Duke's forced a number of turnovers, but Indiana has to feel like they've given some away. Picking up a dribble. You can't pick up your dribble there. He's being guarded by Marquise Bolden.
Barrett leads to the steal, and he's trying to go the distance. Count the bucket and a foul.
Boy, this Duke team is so explosive in transition. I mean, there's 5 minutes to go. They've got 35 points. And you could argue that they could have more. And what a terrific job finishing. R.J. Barrett gets to that left hand, goes right into the chest of Evan Fitzner, keeps his eyes on the rim, loses the ball, gets it again, and is able to easily kiss that off the glass. This guy's a big-time player, and he's nowhere near as efficient as he's going to be.
11 Indiana turnovers have led to 14 Duke points. They almost turned it over again, but Trey Jones is called for the foul. And Indiana just trying to weather the storm, somehow try to close the gap a little bit, and make sure Morgan doesn't pick up his 3rd before halftime, and then regroup. Zach McRoberts going to inbound it for the Hoosiers. Terrific player. Remember, his brother, of course, Josh McRoberts, played here for a number of years before going on to the NBA. And Indiana just getting McRoberts back from a back injury that cost him the last 4 games, and are they happy to have him back?
Well, Trey Jones just picking up his 2nd foul, so Alex O'Connell in the ball game. There's a terrific drive by Juwan Morgan. He realized he had a good matchup and was able to get right in the body of Jack White. White brought those arms down, and that's really going to be an automatic foul. Just faked the handoff, spun right back. There was no help to jump in and cut him off there. And a terrific finish by Morgan.
And does not get the bounce. The senior from Waynesville, Missouri, though, is Fitzner's called for the foul. Morgan is off to a tremendous start this year, shooting the ball extremely well, coming off a 31-point, 10-rebound game against UC Davis. Wooden Award candidate, 1 of 2 on this Hoosiers team. Romeo Langford is as well amongst the preseason 50.
Well, Juwan Morgan, his last 3 games, he's averaging 23 points a game and shooting 7 of 10 from 3-point range, an area where he has really improved as a player. Well, right now with Trey Jones out of the game, R.J. Barrett can run the point, but any one of Barrett, Reddish, and Zion Williamson can bring the ball up if they grab a defensive rebound.
Boy, one of the few things that has not gone well for Duke here in the first half, Jake. They're 3 for 10 from the foul line.
Yeah, this could be a bigger lead. Good pass.
Fitzner open in the corner. Morgan the assist.
Big time pass by Juwan Morgan. He looked over his right shoulder and immediately saw Fitzner in the corner. His man was off of him on the weak side and just rifled that ball. If Duke's hands were up, maybe they get a piece of it.
And a foul going against Cam Reddish now.
Take a look. The ball goes inside. Watch how he looks right over his right shoulder. Hands not up. R.J. Barrett's hands aren't up. And he doesn't recover with a hand up. And Evan Fitzner makes him pay. Well, that was a big bucket for Indiana. They needed a score.
Freshman Rob Finney at the point, and he turns it over. And you know how that goes. Fourth dunk of the night already for Williamson. A hard foul committed by Reddish, but we know you're going to want to get another look at this.
Well, you have to throw a pass fake here. Zion Williamson just shoots the gap. That is some violence at the rim. They need to repaint that thing. You wonder if that hurts his wrist after a while. I never had that problem except on my Nerf hoop at home.
Boy, and Indiana was making a little move. They'd had a couple of good trips in a row, and then just kind of a careless cross-court pass. Finney's going to go to the bench right now.
Well, it was careless, but in part it was, or in large measure, it was caused by the pressure. So just across half court, Finney's getting pressure.
1 of 2 for Langford, the freshman from New Albany, Indiana, Mr. Basketball in the state of Indiana. And what a big get it was for Archie Miller and the Indiana program to have Romeo Langford choose the Hoosiers.
The crowd started when Romeo Langford was shooting free throws, started chanting overrated. Coach K shut it down right away. Started waving his arms, basically telling the crowd no more of that.
And yet another turnover. I know we sound like a broken record, but man, oh man.
Coach K coaching the crowd, coaching the team, coaching the crowd. I wonder if he can come up here and coach the play-by-play guy.
He could use some help.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball.
Only available on ESPN Plus. Earn everything. An 8-part all-access series on Duke basketball. Your chance to follow Coach K, Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett, and the rest as they prepared for the season. Start your free trial of ESPN Plus now and watch all 8 episodes. And here's a sampling.
Yo, everybody.
We're playing, and somebody guest messes up. All I hear is, yo.
First time we're doing it. Yo, let's go figure 8 now. Yo. Come on, yo. Good pass, yo.
And everybody just stops, and it'll be that one person that keep walking, be like, yo.
Listen, yo.
When coach wants your attention, he's gonna, yo.
Yeah, yo is a big one. Like, you always hear, yo. And then
Look.
Yo.
Eyes are on him.
Yo.
Yo.
It's classic. That's timeless. We'll do that. We're just hanging out.
I just say, yo.
Yo, Nate. All right, good. Yo.
My family gets on me, like they will say, don't yo me.
Point, yo.
Well, whatever he's saying after yo has obviously been very effective because his team's playing a good game tonight. R.J. Barrett with a 3. You saw Williamson with another dunk. Langford challenged at the rim by Goldwire. In between, Fitzner with a 3. He's got a dozen points. Did he yo back when you were playing?
Oh, he yo'd a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of yo, and this Earn Everything 8-part series has been awesome. I think Earn Everything and then Rolling with the Tide are 2 of the best things I've seen in the last year on ESPN. Of the many great things, it was awesome. Both of them were awesome. But I think right now Coach K has been saying, yo, get the ball to Zion. And yo, how about we keep Evan Fitzner from getting catch and shoot threes, because he got a wide open three off a little pick and pop situation. And Krzyzewski just put in Marquise Bolden as a result of that. This is a big 2-minute stretch for Indiana. If they can get a couple of stops and a couple of scores and then go into halftime with this under 10, it's going to be a tall order to get it there after R.J. Barrett scored on that drive.
Barrett now with a 15, Williamson with 15, each averaging over 20, and they've combined for 30 already tonight. Bolden with a block.
And taking it the other way. Boy, when Duke gets a stop and can take it the other way, they can really do some damage.
This is going to be Duke ball with 1:53 to go in the half.
And Mike Krzyzewski wants a timeout, and I think he wants a timeout to talk to his team about the importance of the last 2 minutes. I mean, Duke right now, if they handle the last 2 minutes, can stretch this lead out and take a big step toward putting Indiana away. Or Indiana, if they handle it really well, can give themselves an opportunity to kind of get back in this thing, or at least feel like they have.
The 20th annual ACC Big Ten Challenge rolls on tomorrow night. Mr. Billis will be in Maryland as they host Virginia. Used to be an ACC battle. Now it's an ACC Big Ten battle. That's at 7:30 Eastern time. And then Mr. Vitale and I, along with Allison, will be up in Ann Arbor as the 6-0 Wolverines take on the 6-1 Tar Heels. And we apologize in advance for what you're about to see, Michigan fans. Memorable meeting. Hard to believe it is more than 25 years ago now. Chris Webber calling the timeout that they didn't have near the end of the national championship game. A technical foul. Carolina puts on a couple of points, and they win the national championship 77-71. It figures to be a great matchup. Michigan is playing defense about as well as any program in America right now. How about this? Michigan's holding their opponents to 48 points per game. Carolina's scoring double that, 96 points per game. So as they say, Jay, something's got to give. Jones follows up the miss.
Boy, and Archie Miller's got to be really upset. You got the point guard who's just barely over 6 feet tall, grabbing offensive rebounds and getting stickbacks on you. And Duke right now moving the lead out. Indiana not able to put a dent in it going into halftime. They're getting the lead stretched out on them. And that's exactly why Mike Krzyzewski called that timeout, to take advantage of these last 2 minutes going into halftime.
And now he'll bring Trey Jones to the bench. Jones has a couple of fouls, so he doesn't want him to pick up his third. Goldwire back into the game for Duke.
Wait, how good was Jordan Goldwire in practice yesterday? I mean, he played really well.
A miss in close by Langford.
And it's 1 and out.
R.J. Barrett already 15 points and 8 rebounds in the first half tonight.
And it's been efficient. He's not forced anything.
Williamson with a reverse. 2 more for him. He's got 17.
What do you do? So many weapons.
Devontae Green wide open off the back of the iron. And the long rebound comes down to Langford. Langford known more as a driver than a shooter. Got inside, and a foul is going against Duke.
No,
it's going against Indiana.
Smith.
I'm sorry, Justin Smith for Indiana.
Jack White will be shooting free throws.
Coming up in the Dodge halftime report. Our producer Jeff Dufine just yo'd me, by the way.
Yo!
Michigan State and Louisville in an OT thriller as the Cardinals emerge victorious. And to look at all the action in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. This is the 20th year of this challenge. The ACC's won 12, the Big Ten's won 5, and twice it has ended in a tie.
Yeah, we just saw Louisville and Marquette up in Brooklyn right after the Jim Maui Invitational, and we both left there saying, you know what, Louisville's good. They went 0-2 up there, but they're good and they're going to be good. And they came out and proved it in an overtime win over Michigan State. That's a big win for Chris Mack and his new program.
White knocks down the first, and it seems like more often than not, Duke's at 50 points before halftime.
Yeah, scoring is not going to be Duke's issue.
Again, this matchup of Langford and Barrett, two of the most talented freshmen in the country. Langford step back jumper, left it short. Somebody might have gotten a finger on that.
Indiana having to go one-on-one and try to break the defense down individually. And they've got to do a much better job of being stronger and running something. When they get in a half-court situation, they got to run something, grab the ball and get loose balls. I mean, this was all Duke in the first half.
And they can basically hold it about a second-and-a-half difference. It'll be Williamson getting inside, laying it in.
Just spins away from contact. The defense lifted up. What a first half for Duke. A dismantling of a good Indiana team.
A 10-0 run to end the half. Williamson with 19. Barrett with 15. And Duke all over Indiana to the tune of 53-29. Let's go back to the studio now for the halftime report. Here is be unhappy about if you're Archie Miller. We are ready for the start of the second half of our Sonic blockbuster. Thank you, Allison. Turnovers a problem. Remember, they had that 4-on-1, the pass going backwards between a couple of players out of bounds. So many missed opportunities, and then that 10-0 run for Duke to close the half. Let's take a look and see who is on the floor. Brought to you by Geico, and it's the same starting five of the second half as it was at the beginning of the game for the Hoosiers. Juwan Morgan picking up 2 early fouls didn't help the Indiana cause, and the starting five for Duke in the second half, the same as the group at the beginning of the game, the 4 freshmen and Marquise Bolden.
Indiana turning the ball over to start the second half, and then Duke turning right around and turning it over. Cam Reddish running the baseline. When he stepped out of bounds, he can't be the first guy to touch it again when he comes back in, as long as he wasn't forced out of bounds. You see that call every once in a while. A lot of times you might not get it identified, but it's a little bit of an odd rule, but happens maybe once a game.
Spinning into traffic. Smith can't finish. Shot might have been altered, and here comes Barrett.
Yeah, Bolden altered that shot. He was right there on the spin and was there to protect the rim, which he did extraordinarily well against Auburn. Maybe had his best game as a Duke Blue Devil. Had 7 blocked shots and a number of chain shots. He was not as good against Gonzaga, and this is a real bounce-back game for him personally.
And obviously he faced a lot of size, experience, and talent in that game against Gonzaga. What a terrific game that it was in Maui. 89-87 as Mark Few Zags win the championship. And Rui Hachimura named the MVP of the Maui Jim Maui Invitational. Good save, but it's still a turnover, and numbers for Duke. Crossover Jones, and back comes Finney. Look ahead to Smith, and he will get fouled by Reddish. Number 3 on Cam Reddish.
Cam Reddish struggled a little bit in the first half relative to his teammates. He was 1 of 6 from the field. Little run out after Trey Jones was unable to finish that play on the other end. He might have thought he got fouled, but I didn't think so. I thought it was just a really good defensive play by Indiana. But you could see right before the teams came out onto the floor that Coach K grabbed Cam Reddish, and we're way too far away to know what was said, but my guess is he was telling him to just relax and quit putting so much pressure on himself and just play.
Came off kind of a difficult game against Gonzaga as well. 4 fouls in the game, 4 turnovers. And remember, down the stretch, he wasn't in the game for about a 7-minute stretch late in the game against the Zags. The other 3 freshmen, Jones, Williamson, and Barrett, all having terrific nights tonight. Reddish still looking to find his way.
Al Durham playing defense on Cam Reddish. He just turned the ball over. Durham is a good player. I really like him.
Smith, another missed layup. Langford rejected by Williamson.
Williamson looked like he blocked that at his ear level. This just doesn't happen to Romeo Langford very often. I guess the next step for Zion Williamson is to try to keep that thing in bounds, because there's nothing else to argue about.
Now he comes up with a steal, and it's going to be an easy 2 for Jones. Zion Williamson doing it all tonight.
And his lateral movement is so good. He's not just a vertical athlete. He can move laterally with such agility. It's really incredible.
Boy, he's hunting the ball on the defensive end right now. That leaves Langford open, and he'll miss the 3. And look who's in the corner picking it up.
Everything's going way too fast for Indiana. They have been, as Allison Williams said, so eloquently, they have been sped up, and it's really been from the opening tap. And Indiana's a good basketball team. You know, I've watched every tape. They played really well against Marquette. And that was probably their best performance. And in the second half against UC Davis, played very well. Didn't play as well in the first half. But this is a good team. And they're being made to look like less than that in this building on this evening.
Yeah, their only loss was at Arkansas. Tough place to play. They lost by 1 and could have easily won that game. Deron Davis missed a tip in the closing seconds, so they win it. Barrett is fouled before the bucket, before the shot, and that'll be on Langford.
Zion Williamson had 19 points in the first half on 9 shots. I think the lesson is get him the ball more.
Right. Well, 9 for 12 from the field and a lot of high percentage looks. 5 of them dunks, and I think 2 of the others were layups. And he's fouled here. You know, Justin Smith's a terrific athlete in his own right, but Williamson, just the size and the athleticism at that size is just at a whole other level.
He, in a way, dwarfs Justin Smith. And Justin Smith is a big, strong athlete. But Zion Williamson is like 2 of him.
Langford can't save it.
Just everything Indiana is doing is off.
And Archie Miller wants a timeout. Whatever he said at halftime hasn't taken here early in the second half. And it's now a 25-point lead for the Blue Devils. Zion Williamson with a 19. R.J. Barrett with 15 and 9 rebounds. Trey Jones into double figures and a bushel of assists as well. This pass leading Bolden too far, and back comes Durham for the Hoosiers.
Oh, good idea to try to throw it in. Well defended by Juwan Morgan. It's just a little horn set with a dive down to the low post, and Indiana just can't buy a basket even when they get an open shot, and they have not had any second chance opportunities.
Now, the field goal percentages are almost identical to the score. It's 55-30 Duke. The field goal percentages are 53-29. And R.J. Barrett showing a little bit more of that pull-up mid-range game that we've seen at times this year.
What he's really shown, Dan, is a high level of efficiency. Like in the last few games, he had not been quite as efficient shooting. I think his last 2 games, he was like 16 of 45 from the field and 5 of 20 from 3. What a good pass. Boy, Justin Smith with a nice drive along the baseline, a little drop-off pass to Juwan Morgan. But everything has been, there's been nothing forced by R.J. Barrett. Everything's been in rhythm, and as a result, he's been really efficient from the floor.
Driving on Langford, and it's out of bounds, still Duke ball.
And you know that R.J. Barrett, after he wanted to win the game against Gonzaga and had an opportunity to finish a play at the end, actually more than one play. And you know that he hears the criticism that came his way. Maybe he should have passed it. Maybe he should have done this. Maybe he should have done that. He's not immune to that. And to have bounced back in this game and to put on as good a performance he's put on is pretty impressive for a young player.
Really nice pass there to the corner, but White misses the 3, and Deron Davis back into the game for Indiana brings down the rebound. And another turnover.
Just leading him out of bounds. Everything has been a struggle for Indiana.
18 turnovers in the game.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Not sorry, Reese's.
For us to raise some money for the V Foundation.
Duke's going to screen Zion Williamson back into the low post, then a ball screen out on the wing. And a lack of execution out of the timeout. And I know that can't, even with a 25-point lead, that can't make Mike Krzyzewski happy. He's not looking at the scoreboard right now. And he wants his team to operate at a high level, as does Archie Miller. I mean, right now the scoreboard isn't the #1 thing.
Jack White called for the foul. Look at those numbers. Zion Williamson, all 9 of his buckets tonight have been in the paint. 5 of them have been dunks. The other 4 lay-ins are really close to the bucket. And Indiana, what were they, 9 of 23 in the paint. I mean, so many missed opportunities. And it really started in the opening minutes of the game on offensive rebounds. They just couldn't put the ball back in.
Couldn't get a loose ball. It was right there for the grabbing, and Duke got every one of them. And then really whenever Indiana had the ball in the half court, when they got the ball across half court against the 1-2-2 3/4 court pressure, they were pushed so far out they couldn't really run what they wanted to run. And the game just sort of got away from it. I still think that the most important point of the half was the last 2 minutes of the first half. You know, Indiana could have made a little run there, or at least stemmed the tide, and instead Duke went 10-0 to end the half, and the game was effectively over right there.
3 fouls on this trip committed by the Blue Devils, and Ron Davis will go to the free throw line.
I'll tell you, Romeo Langford is a player. I mean, this kid can absolutely drive it. I think he is going to become a good shooter and a consistent perimeter shooter, but he's just a gifted player that has a great head on his shoulders.
As you, Jay, as you know well, scored over 3,000 points in high school. He's an Indiana kid, New Albany, Indiana, and a legend in Indiana, and such a big get for Archie Miller to get him to come to Bloomington. It came down to, and Duke was on his initial list, but when it got down to the final 3, it was Vanderbilt, Kansas, and Indiana. Held the announcement at his high school. Boy, if you're going to go and if you're going to be a legend in Indiana and do it in public at your high school, you better pick an in-state school, and he certainly did that. And probably a guy who's only going to be around for 1 year, but again, just a huge get for Archie Miller. This is not the only talented freshman, top 10 class brought in by Archie Miller. They're dealing with some injuries in that freshman class right now.
Yeah, and Romeo Langford, obviously the crown jewel of the recruiting class, and he covers so much ground, but he's a team player. It's not all about him, and he's done a really good job all year long.
Barrett with a 3. Williamson slips and still gets an assist. Let's head down to court level. Here's Allison Williams.
Well, guys, as you watch Romeo Langford, there's kind of an ease and a smoothness with which he plays, and at times it can lead people to question his energy and his effort. But Archie Miller will tell you, when you watch him, it may not look at times like he's emotionally charged up or engaged, but when you watch the film, you see how quickly he covers ground, how quickly he closes out. And Romeo recognizes it too. He said, if you try to guard me, you'll know that I'm going fast and playing at a high level.
All right, Allison, thank you. Devontae Green with a bucket. Yeah, Langford averaging 18.5 points per game. And if a guy is not giving as much effort as a coach wants, nobody knows it better than his own coach. And Archie Miller says the kid may look smooth, but he is giving his all.
And you mentioned Vanderbilt, one of his final schools before choosing Indiana. You know, how about poor Darius Garland at Vanderbilt, the great freshman point guard, having a spectacular freshman year, lost for the year for the Commodores with a torn meniscus in his knee, just had surgery. And what a blow to Vanderbilt, because he legitimately one of the 10 best point guards in the country at any age, and was off to a great start. A tremendous blow, not only to Darius Garland, but to Vanderbilt.
Williamson at the line for Duke, misses the first. And after he makes the second with 14 minutes and 13 seconds left in the game, both Barrett and Williamson now have 20 points already.
Indiana's got to start coming back toward the ball. They've got too many guys kind of hiding back there. Good job breaking it by Devontae Green and getting it down to Juwan Morgan where he can finish. But it's so hard when you've taken this kind of punch to come back from it.
Barrett lost the handle on that shovel pass, turns it over, and Green's going to try to finish. He can't. Langford swipes at it, and it's out of bounds off of Blue Devils, still with Indiana.
Devontae Green just back from injury. He's had that thigh contusion, and so when your first game back, you certainly can't be too critical. But on a fast break, he's got to get that to the rim as fast as he can. That was slow played. And that's what led to that near turnover. Instead of just get that thing to the rim and make the defender foul you.
A 23-point lead for the Blue Devils, and one of the reasons why, despite Coach K being angry right now, he just called a timeout, took his jacket off, and rifled that jacket into the bench. And we've noticed from our perch here with the crow's nest up above, we're almost directly over the Duke bench. He has been unhappy the entire second half.
Well, they're not executing very well. When he threw that jacket, do you think his wallet may be in there? I'll be back in a minute. You hang on 1 second, I'll be back. Yeah, he hasn't. You can see him. We're up in the crow's nest, so we can see right down in the huddles. And he's been imploring his team to operate more efficiently on the offensive end, not be loose with the ball, and not play like they've got a bunch of money in their pocket right now and not worry about the score. And he's clearly not been pleased.
Timeout. He wants a full timeout. And there goes the jacket. You don't see a jacket get thrown very often with a 23-point lead.
I wonder what coaches do with their wallets during games, whether they keep them in their coat pocket, whether they even bring one out there.
Your wallet was the source of much intrigue yesterday. You were separated from your wallet for a while yesterday.
I dropped it watching practice. It fell out of my back pocket. And after you rifled through it, somebody else was kind enough to alert me. Apparently I needed to offer a reward for you to give it back to me.
Would be nice. It's the third time I found your wallet and I still haven't gotten a reward. And a trip to the free throw line coming for the Hoosiers.
Langford so easily able to turn the corner. Yeah, he can go either direction. He's not one-hand dominant as a driver. It doesn't even look like he sweats.
He and R.J. Barrett have been matched up on one another most of the night. That's the 9th point for Langford. Barrett's got 20 right now.
Well, they've played against each other before, certainly in the McDonald's All-America game and practices. And these guys see each other on the summer circuit, whether it's the EYBL or all these different grassroots summer tournaments they play in and camps. So it's rare that the better players don't see each other a lot. What a move. That same play of it's the same play Duke opened the game with, where sort of a little back screen to get Zion Williamson isolated in the low post.
And again, aggressive out of the perimeter. This time Trey Jones called for the foul.
Now take a look. There's a screen and the ball goes into the low post and he's just being begged to come and double team. And Deron Davis couldn't get down from guarding Javin DeLaurier, because after that little back screen, there's a screen for the screener action Duke can run.
Boy, Williamson has been gambling all night long on defense, trying to come up with the ball. The lob, Barrett to finish.
That is quite a tandem high wire act between Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett, and they are unselfish. It's not like Zion Williamson has to be the only show in town. He's willing to share the wealth.
We've gotten a chance to watch them a lot in practice. We were with them on the Canada tour, saw them in the hotel. Here's another one. Oh, my. I mean, it is a dunk fest right now, and Archie Miller probably can hardly believe what he's seeing.
This is like watching Louisville and Houston in 1983. Except one team is having all the Louisville and Houston dunks.
Yeah. That's at least 6 dunks tonight for Zion Williamson.
And there's 12 minutes to go in regulation.
McRoberts knocks down a corner 3. And an offensive foul on Barrett.
Zion Williams throwing an alley-oop to R.J. Barrett. And then R.J. Barrett returned the favor. You remember Dominique Wilkins throwing lobs to his teammates? Pretty impressive, this pair. R.J. Barrett finished the play, then Trey Jones. Hey.
All right, and thank you. So looking at the other games tonight, Jay, as you look at what's gone on in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, Penn State won by 1. Notre Dame won by 2. Iowa won by 1. Wisconsin won by 4, and Louisville won by 4 in overtime. The Big Ten leading right now 4-3. This one's obviously going the ACC's way, so it looks like it'll be 4-4 at the end of the night. But some incredibly close games tonight other than this one.
Yeah, that was a big win by Penn State over Virginia Tech. And Lamar Stevens of Penn State is a really good player. Yet almost another steal for Duke. Still putting with a big lead, still putting on full court pressure.
Langford short on the 3. R.J. Barrett's gone to the bench with 4 fouls for Duke. A charge before the last timeout, number 4 on him.
Boy, has Indiana gotten an offensive rebound in the second half? Doesn't seem like they have. It's really been 1 and out, and it's been, for the most part, 1 challenge shot.
Morgan guarding Williamson. Reddish driving, has it knocked away, and here come the Hoosiers led by Al Durham. And Langford got in really deep, but a foul is called, and it will be on Jack White.
Yeah, he chested him up right under the basket in the restricted area, the charge circle, and reached in. So it wasn't sort of a charge that he was trying to take there. Watch his right arm goes down across the ball, and there was contact with the chest before Zion went. That's one of the, because Zion Williamson is lurking around, that's one of the reasons you really don't want to foul, because he can, that is a big eraser on your defensive pencil.
Jay, let me ask you about Cam Reddish. I mean, Jones is playing great. Barrett's scoring in bunches. Williamson's being a Williamson. Has Cam Reddish, is he just searching for his role? Is he just not shooting the ball well? What do you see from him right now?
Well, I think he has a pretty good understanding of his role, but these are still, even though these are incredibly talented young players, they're still young players. So they're trying to figure it out. And coming off a loss in Maui where Reddish had some really good moments, but didn't always play his best, and he certainly hasn't played his best in this one on both ends of the floor. I think one of the things for any player, but especially for a young player, is when your offense isn't going the way you want it. And most young players judge their performance by whether their shot goes in or not.
Well, your shot just went in.
It did. But when your offense isn't going well, throw yourself into defense, because 95% of this game, you play 95% of it without the ball in your hands. So are you playing good help side defense? Like Mike Krzyzewski's upset with his team right now because they're giving up easy shots. They're not playing, they're playing the scoreboard instead of, and this is a young team. It's hard to play when you're up this much. It's hard to have the sense of urgency that your coach wants you to have.
Looking for Williamson in the post. Reddish instead on the wing, misses the three, and Fitzner down with the rebound for Indiana. Midway point of the second half. Look at this drive, and a rejection by Bolden.
Bolden with a nice block. I think Duke would have rather had somebody up there to try to help out on that screen initially, because nobody called it out. Trey Jones just picked off in transition.
And Reddish turns it over again, and Durham knocks down a three at the other end.
Well, I like him. 13 points against Marquette. I think he had a double-figure game against Arkansas as well. Played pretty well against UC Davis. Al Durham is just a sophomore, and he's a really capable scorer, good defender.
Morgan called for the foul on the drive by Williamson.
It's his fourth, I believe.
Yes, sir. And Coach K was miles happier in the first half than he's been the entire second half.
Well, the team played with more verve in the first half. They've played, they've played like they got a bunch of money in their pocket in the second, which, that's the natural thing. He's trying to fight what's natural, and he wants this team to be special and to want to be special, and I think they do want that.
And some subs, including Alex O'Connell, whose minutes have really been fleeting lately. He hasn't played a whole lot, only didn't play much in the semifinal or the final out at Maui. Jordan Goldwire into the game as well, and looks like Barrett's waiting to take out Williamson if he makes this free throw.
Well, O'Connell can be a big piece for this team because he can stretch the floor and make open shots. And he's got really good range on his shot. He gives good energy while he's in there, but I think the expectation for any player is to play really good defense, and he's still coming on in that area.
And a Duke foul before the shot attempt by Davis, as now Barrett will replace Williamson. Barrett coming back in with 4 fouls. Indiana at the outset of a really interesting stretch in their schedule. They play some league games. We talked about the Big Ten. They've gone to 20 games, and they did it last year too. They had 2 league games early because their tournament was a week earlier last year. So Indiana's going into league play next. They'll host Northwestern, then go to Penn State. We just saw the Nittany Lions with a big win over Virginia Tech, so they're tough. Then Louisville, and then that great 4-team event in Indianapolis with Purdue, Indiana, Notre Dame, and Butler. Indiana playing Butler in that game this year. That's a really interesting stretch the Hoosiers are heading into.
That is a difficult stretch.
Bolden with another block.
We talked about Lamar Stevens and how good Penn State is, and Penn State beating Virginia Tech tonight. And this is what Marquise Bolden needs to do. He's able to move his feet. He can get off his feet, but he really has to be able to protect the rim when he's in there and be a presence in the lane at both ends of the floor.
You know, Jay, the largest lead of this game for Duke was 27. As Langford, bothered by White, couldn't finish the dunk, and back come the Blue Devils. But Indiana's cut 8 points off what was the largest lead of the game for Duke. Coach K unhappy, standing on the bench, and Barrett just fouled out.
Just a push off with his right arm. Looked like it was against Fitzner, but it was a clear push off, an offensive foul.
So Barrett fouls out of the game. 22 points, 9 rebounds in 28 minutes tonight. And at least 2, maybe 3 of the fouls, Jay, were at the offensive end.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that he pushed Evan Fitzner back. I mean, it's a clear offensive foul.
Tennessee keeps it in bounds out of Lafayette, Indiana. The first player from Lafayette to commit to Indiana since 1948. That's Purdue country.
That was before all these players were born.
It's before all these players' grandfathers were born. Who are we kidding? Jones with a pull-up.
How good is this kid? We talk about Romeo Langford being smooth, and he is, and Cam Reddish being smooth, and he is. But there is a smoothness to Trey Jones's game that is really impressive. He's such a mature player out on the floor and plays at both ends. A two-way player that keys the attack at both ends of the floor for this Duke team.
Tonight's numbers: 12 points, 7 assists, no turnovers. Now 13 points, 7 assists, no turnovers tonight. That gives him 40 assists and 8 turnovers on the season, which, thanks to the ease with which that could be calculated, is a 5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio.
You are good.
Well, I was waiting to get that stat until it got exactly to 40 to 8. But he is playing extremely well. And you know what? There's a joy about him, too, when you watch him play the game. He's having all kinds of fun out there. Nice floater there by Durham with his offhand. Seven and a half to go and a 20-point lead for the Blue Devils. Shot clock at 8. Jones behind the back. Saved it, though. Finds O'Connell. Got to get a shot off. And he drew the foul. So O'Connell will be at the free throw line when we come back. Just about everything going the Blue Devils' way. Even the mascot's balance is in mid-season form here tonight. And assuming Duke wins this game, it'll be tied at 4 between the ACC and the Big Ten. Going into the final night tomorrow, there are 6 games, including number 7 Michigan hosting number 11 North Carolina. Iggy Brazdeikis, one of the terrific freshman, maybe not getting enough publicity right now. He has been outstanding for the Wolverines. And how about the game that how about the game Kobe White had against Texas? I think it was 2 games ago. 33 points for the Tar Heels. He is a blur at the point.
Well, he is really fast with the ball and a great scorer, the all-time leading scorer in North Carolina high school basketball history. But North Carolina is not just him. I mean, they've got older players back. Luke May, Cam Johnson, Kenny Williams, and Nasir Little, the freshman, who is projected to be a top 10 pick in this year's draft, were he to come out. There's a lot of talent, but Michigan's so good defensively. There's going to be a really difficult game on the road for North Carolina.
It's going to be a maze out at Chrysler tomorrow night as the Wolverines host the Tar Heels. Al Durham making some good plays tonight.
He is a player.
Stepped into a larger role after the injury to Devontae Green. Green now coming back, so you've got Finney, Durham, Green, Langford can shuttle between the 2 and the 3. More depth for Indiana now as they get healthier with McRoberts back as well.
Duke had 4 turnovers in the first half. They've had 9 in this second half.
And nearly there it is.
10.
Oh no, it was deflected.
Stays there.
Yeah. And Jack White saw it.
But the clock turned over to 30.
Which it shouldn't have.
That
shot clock should not have reset. So Duke should have the ball, but it should be with like 2 or 3 seconds on the clock, I think. There shouldn't have been a reset there. Indiana never had possession.
Yeah, there was no change of possession. And it reset. Maybe the clock thought it hit the rim.
Did the ball hit the rim on the pass?
I thought it hit the backboard. I didn't think it hit the rim. And that's what they're trying to. That's probably what they're trying to determine right now. But it was reset on the backboard instead of the rim. Because it did not hit the rim. That was a pass.
And it looks like the signal was for 2 seconds, and that's what it is right now. What did it hit exactly?
It did hit the
rim. But,
wow, it did hit the rim.
Yeah, but the ruling was that it did not hit the rim. So now it's going to be just 2 seconds on the shot clock for Duke.
Well, I thought for sure up here it hit the backboard.
Yeah, me too. So Jones to inbound with 2 on the clock. Gets it off. And tipped out of bounds by O'Connell. It's Indiana ball.
Boy, Duke so often will try to get the ball back to the inbounds man, especially with a short clock. See if Indiana can run a little bit of offense. I mean, they're down 20. The outcome seems like it's decided.
O'Connell with a steal in some traffic, draws the foul. And the crowd didn't like how hard that foul was by Durham Davis.
And he got a technical foul called on him. Roger Ayers was right there. I saw him make the technical signal and point right at Durham Davis. And they're going to go over to the monitor and take a look at it. Good play by Alex O'Connell. That's going to be deemed at least a flagrant one.
It may not be that. It might be that. It might have been the shove after the fact.
It looked like a shove afterwards, that it was sort of unnecessary.
Right. If it's a technical foul, that implies the ball was dead, so it wasn't on the. So he could have.
He made the signal of the technical foul.
Right. So there could be a personal foul and a technical foul here.
That could be. You know, I don't know whether something was said, but I saw the signal of technical foul made.
But if it's a technical foul signal, that means the ball was dead. So it wasn't on the initial foul because the ball was still live then. That would have been a flagrant 1 signal.
Yes.
This is a technical signal. So I think we're going to have
a
personal and a technical.
But the foul itself could be a flagrant.
Yes, you're right. So we could have a flagrant and a technical, or a personal and or a common foul and a technical.
Now they are saying, I don't think there's any way they say there's a flagrant 2, but the times now they're saying if the player's in a vulnerable position and all that stuff, that's factored in to whether it was unnecessary. So he's coming from behind. He swung down at the player, so that's factored in. There are a lot of different factors that go as to whether this is going to be called flagrant. He's got a hand in his back. Now, I don't know whether something was said here, but if you watch, he was in a position where potential for injury existed. Yeah, so they called a dead ball contact technical on Davis.
In addition to a personal foul?
Well,
there should be both, right? It's got to be the personal.
Yeah,
and
there was a personal. There was a
technical.
personal foul.
Yeah.
I don't know if the personal was on Davis himself or whether it was on somebody else that fouled him beforehand.
And did McRoberts get something as well? There are multiple infractions here against the Hoosiers. So those are for we think for the dead ball contact technical foul. McRoberts got something as well.
He might have had the common foul when the ball was live. Watch McRoberts ahead, number 15.
So that's that swipe.
He reaches
that's
in,
the
grabs. Yeah,
foul.
that's the one, and this is the dead ball contact technical.
Okay. So common foul on McRoberts, dead ball contact technical foul on Davis. O'Connell makes 3 out of 4, and Duke retains possession.
Romeo Langford is holding that right hand. It's bandaged up, but you can see him just on that last play. He's holding it. I don't know whether it was just hit just a second ago, but he's messing with that right thumb.
And we asked about it before the game. We were told it's really nothing of note, that he has had that for a while, but there it is again. You're right. He's looking at it and holding it.
Well, he's had that
bad sign.
He's had that thumb for a long time.
It's his original thumb. And as Jones knocks down the free throw, boy, Duke is really winning the time of possession right now. The ball's been down at this end of the court forever, and there's the bandaging that Langford has had on it since the beginning of the game. Had it at practice earlier today as well. Goldwire in for Jones. Because Barrett is fouled out and it's such a big lead, we're actually seeing the Blue Devils playing with far fewer freshmen in the game than they typically have this year. Only Reddish is in there right now. Jones is on the bench. Williamson's on the bench as well. So guys like O'Connell and Goldwire getting some minutes.
Yeah, different lineups. Zion Williamson not in the game. You mentioned Barrett's fouled out.
Nice left-handed hook by Davis.
Boy, it's nice to see him back in the lineup. Give him some time to get back in tip-top game shape. And boy, you had better play on the top side of Durham Davis, because he will bury you in the low post.
Even a guy as big as Bolden. And Bolden tried to return the favor maybe here. Kicks it out from the double team. White misses the three. Langford draws the foul on the drive. Reddish with a look of frustration on his face.
Well, Reddish had Romeo Langford driving toward the baseline, not able to get an angle to the basket, and he just sort of threw his chest into him. Instead of just, you have him angled out. If he's going to take that shot, make him take a tough two over you. And, those are things that players learn as they get a little bit older and keep themselves out of those foul positions. But a tough two headed toward the baseline, that's not a bad shot to force somebody into, even a player as good as Romeo Langford.
After this game for the Blue Devils, they will stay home for their next 4 games, playing Stetson, Hartford, Yale, and Princeton. They got a game up in New York towards the holidays against Texas Tech, and then a couple of weeks off before they start conference play in January. Duke ranked 3rd in the nation right now. Gonzaga 1, Kansas 2.
Offensive.
Yeah, great job to get the rebound, but a little too much force trying to go up.
Yeah, Duke ranked 3rd in the country, but only 6th in the net. the new net from the NCAA, where Kentucky ranked 61. Ohio State in the new metric that has replaced the RPI. Right now, Ohio State is number 1. Loyola Marymount number 10. And it is kind of hard to fathom how those metrics work out after 6 games.
And we're not privy to the formula. That's one of the issues. But
we're privy to some of the things that they look at, not the entire formula. But it can't be a very good formula that doesn't value after 6 games. 3 top 10 games having been played, things like that. That's sort of hard to fathom, that it could be, that you need 20 games worth of input to get decent results.
Zion Williamson back into the game for Duke.
Good rebound.
And Delorier puts it back.
Well, Javin Delorier did not play his best in Maui, but yesterday at practice, Coach K said to him after he made a really good play, and he just made a really good defensive play. What a good sequence for Javin DeLaurier. Said to DeLaurier, it's coming. Like, it is coming. Just trying to pump him up that keep working because the best is yet to come for you.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Continental Tire, for what you do, and in part by E-Trade, the original place to invest online.
Game, Jay, that you're doing tomorrow night, no doubt, is Maryland to host Virginia in another ACC Big Ten Challenge game presented by Continental. This one safely in hand for the Duke Blue Devils, up 21, although maybe a little bit of concern. Zion Williamson is on the bench, and it appears he is having some cramping issues in his legs, something that afflicted him towards the end of the tournament out in Maui as well.
Yeah, he had some full body cramps after the game against Gonzaga. They had to essentially carry him off the bus after the game back to the hotel when he got back to the hotel, and he had, I think we were told, 3 IV bottles.
Yes.
Or IV bags, I guess, were used on Zion Williamson after the game. That's how much he was cramping.
We were not told who carried him off the bus.
What 8 people?
Yeah. Reverse for Reddish.
When Cam Reddish does figure it out, all these guys, I mean, he's such a talented player. He can shoot it, he can drive it.
And DeLaurier the foul on Davis at the other end.
He is clearly the best shooter on this Duke team. Coming into the game, he was shooting 94% from the free throw line and 43% from 3. He'd made 19 of his 44 3-point attempts.
Well, a game that essentially was over after the last 2 minutes of the first half, as Duke used a 10-0 run to go into halftime up 24. And if it was a big night for Duke, you know it was a big night for the freshmen, and they have 68 of the 85 points for the Blue Devils tonight, led by Williamson with 25 and Barrett, who was fouled out of the game, with 22.
Yeah, so that the Duke freshmen have a 3-point lead. Make it a 6-point lead over the entire Indiana team.
But they're going to need their upperclassmen. They're going to need White and DeLaurier and Bolden, and whether it's on-court stuff, but it's also just experience and leadership and having been there before.
No question, no question. And the older players, the sophomores, juniors, and the like, are making huge contributions. They're not what you would call the star players. They're not going to be the leading scorers, but who's made outside of Williamson and R.J. Barrett, who's made a bigger contribution than Jack White? Mm-hmm. And you saw what Marquise Bolden could be in the game in Maui against Auburn in the semifinal, where he protected the rim, ran the floor, had 12 points. I think he had 7 blocks, 8 or 9 rebounds. I mean, he was fantastic.
Laurier, the handoff for Jones, poked away by Davis, out of bounds to Duke with 5 on the shot clock. If you're Archie Miller, what do you work on tomorrow? What's the first thing you say to your team when you gather back in Bloomington tomorrow?
Well, this was not their best performance. They are far better than they played in this one. But there are some things they can build off of in this. But you have to, in a way, flush this and move on. But the same things they have been working on, they need to keep working on. It's almost like Archie Miller told Allison Williams earlier, that they have to be themselves and play the way they play. And they got out of that. They were forced out of it by Duke and their pressure in this game tonight. But Indiana's a good basketball team, and they proved that going on the road and playing a 1-point game with Arkansas. And they proved that with really dismantling a good Marquette team that turned around and beat Louisville in Brooklyn. And Louisville turned around and beat Michigan State in overtime tonight in the Big Ten ACC.
This game, the outlier in the ACC Big Ten Challenge tonight. As you can see, every other game was close, including that overtime game Jay just mentioned between Louisville and Michigan State. But This one wasn't close early, and it got further and further apart towards the end of the first half. In the second half, it really feels like it's been a formality. Where Indiana, I think the closest they got it was down to 19 maybe at one point. Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt coming up after the game. Allison will have an interview with one of the stars of the game for the Blue Devils. SVP's take on the new college football rankings and a legendary bad beat. Sports Center with SVP next on ESPN and the ESPN app. I have a feeling, win or lose, Mr. Van Pelt will want to talk to you post-game after the Maryland game tomorrow night.
Boy, Maryland's a good team. And I think Virginia is a borderline great team.
Virginia winning the battle for Atlantis, and that backcourt of Guy and Jerome, one of the best in the country.
I love watching Ty Jerome play. He just knows how to play. He can really shoot it. He can handle it. He's an excellent passer. DeAndre Hunter's back now, and he's an NBA player. They're going to be every bit as good this year, I think, as they were last year. And heck, Wisconsin couldn't score on them.
The games between the Blue Devils, Virginia, and North Carolina. Only two at any given time, obviously. They're going to be really, really interesting this year up atop the ACC. The lead is exactly the same as it was at halftime, a 24-point advantage for Duke. As we go into the final minute of the game, down to 22 after yet another bucket by Durham.
Al Durham's had a nice game. In a game where it's been difficult to find bright spots for Indiana, Al Durham has made some really positive plays. And a nice gesture here that Mike Eads is saying that they need to get some moisture. He just wanted to get the subs in. Yep. That was really cool of Mike Eads to do that.
Clifton Moore, the sophomore from Ambler, Pennsylvania, is the guy who comes in. So Mike Eads, who is one of the best, taking the opportunity to make sure that young man gets a chance to come into the game for the Hoosiers. Reddish, and a foul committed by Demezi Anderson, a freshman from South Bend. Some long faces on that Indiana bench. You know, it's one thing to come into a game like this against a highly ranked team and just play your tails off for the first half and then have it get away from you in the second half. But this one got away from the Hoosiers early.
Was that Fuzzy Zeller sitting behind the bench? I think that was Fuzzy Zeller. There's a Masters champion sitting behind the Indiana bench. That is Fuzzy Zeller. Guy in the red. Does that it's the one in the red.
Yeah. And you saw it before we could even see the word fuzzy on his shirt. That's a good catch by you. Final half minute. And into the game for Indiana, Jake Forrester, a freshman from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, with a bucket. And Duke doesn't have to take a shot. Shot clock is turned off, and the Blue Devils with a convincing win. Big time performance from Zion Williamson. 25 points on the night. RJ Barrett 22 points and 9 rebounds.